Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys to Ride. Today Rob and I are down at the Street Machine Nationals and we're here with Nick. Nick, oh man, tell us what we got behind us.
1959 Chevy Impala convertible.
What a car, man. Okay, I don't know where to start, but I tell you what, let's start in the back. Tell us what's going on in the trunk here.
So we got a 4-pump setup by Pitbull Hydraulics, Brent Greer out of Kentucky. Mr. Hardline did the piping and the install. 8X dumps, coolers on the side for the oil.
Oh man, that is beautiful. That's a piece of art.
Thanks. Yeah. Rolling art. That's what it is. Yeah.
Man, now when you got the car, was it already set up for this, or did you add this?
A lot of it was done down in San Diego, California.
Okay.
Wrap frame. Quite a bit of it was done, and then I got it a few years back and redid. Last 2 years it's been under construction, and redid paint, added accessories, the Trailmaster mirrors.
We'll talk
original
about those
Trailmaster mirrors.
Sure.
And, just redid everything and made it functional and made it work and made it better than it ever was. So,
well, I tell you what, it's absolutely stunning. I loved how it's tubbed on the trunk here, and you got the Impala right on the sides as well, and that's just beautiful.
The 59 script, yeah. 59 only. Every year Impala changed their script.
Right.
Yep.
Now, talk about underneath where you said you wrapped, because I think you said you wrapped it in 1/4-inch steel.
Yeah, the frame's all wrapped in 1/4-inch steel.
Why?
Just to strengthen it because it's convertible.
Okay.
So without that roof, it just needs the support. Otherwise, your doors will flex. You'll end up with chips in the doors. You won't be able to open and close your doors. So with the hydraulics twisting the car and moving it around, hopping it, you'll wreck the car and twist it all up. So it has to be built right.
Okay.
It's got a custom Ford truck rear axle, all chrome plated, custom back strap that was done by Pitbull Hydraulics down in Kentucky. It's all heavy duty built. Nothing is stock Impala underneath the car. It's all heavy duty, full chrome exhaust, chrome SS sway bar, just chrome everything on it.
Now, the kit on the back.
Yep.
Was that an add-on? It's a factory?
Yeah, that's a factory add-on.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. They had them factory in 59, and yep.
Okay.
Yep. So,
all right. Let's walk up on this side for a minute here. I love those fins. Okay, so let's talk about the interior. Would this have been like an original?
This is original.
Color?
Yep. This is original interior here.
Restored but original colors.
Yep, original from Ciadella.
Wow.
Ciadella Interiors. Yep.
Man. Okay, so you've obviously added a few speakers in the floor there.
Yep. We wanted to keep the speakers hidden.
Yep.
As much as possible, but these 10-inch speakers are under the seat, and when they're on, they kind of hit up the back of the seat.
Oh,
and the
sure.
back of their head.
You're gonna drive it. You want some tunes.
Yeah.
I like how you went to the bother of making the vinyl surround there green.
Yeah.
That's nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this dashboard.
Okay.
I love these dashboards with the 5 pods.
Yeah.
So tell us what we've got going just across quickly.
These are Dakota Digital. They're original 1959 Dakota Digital gauges.
Okay.
So they recreated them to look like 59. This here is a vacuum ashtray.
Yeah. How does that work?
You hit this lever when the motor's running. It uses the vacuum from the motor, and it'll suck in the cigarette butt and put it in that jar there. That's a Bowman color bar, so I color match the screen. It actually shines lights to the beat of the music, so it picks up the beat of the music, and so at night it really looks nice.
Nice.
These are 4-way flashers here.
Okay.
These are the hydraulic switches.
Yep.
59 compass, Autronic eye. That was it auto dim the headlights. So when cars are coming at you, it lower your high beams. These are Nelmore Trailmaster mirrors.
Those are hard to find.
Yeah, very impossible to find. Everybody in Southern California scooped them all up, and
they're really neat because you got the mirror on one side and the spotlight on the other.
Yeah,
and then this was the handle.
That's
to
the
swivel.
handle to turn it. Yeah.
Man, now the compass, they're kind of hard to find.
Yeah,
too.
they are. Yeah, they are. Originals are hard to find. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen the Autronic eye before, but not some of this other detail.
Yep.
And would the Trailmaster mirrors Impalas. Would that have been an option you could get?
That was an
on the
option.
Impala?
Yeah,
Okay.
they sold them at the Chevy dealership. So they were for Buicks or for they were for GMs.
Okay.
All GMs, and you saw them mostly put on Buicks and Impalas.
Now-
But you didn't see a lot of them on the cars, and they became just very, very rare because people didn't mount them and they got tossed away, and so they became a rare item. Same with like the cruiser skirts in the back. These are actually called Turnpike. A company called Turnpike made these.
Okay.
And there was Turnpike and there was Foxcraft, and these were actually made for several different models, but Impala was one of them.
Okay. So this would have been something you could have gotten then.
Yes. This was something you could have got at the dealership, an add-on that you could have bought for the car back then. And a lot of people didn't do it, and so the parts just got lost, and then it became part of the Southern California lowrider culture. It became, one of the big things, and everybody wanted it, and they scooped them all up, and there's almost nothing left of it. So,
that's one of the things about restoring a car is just being able to find the original pieces.
Yep.
Anything that you can work.
That's
with.
the hardest. It's easy to buy a car, but to put them together and find all the parts is very difficult now for 59s. 58s and 59s are very difficult.
Yeah, and they changed them so frequently that the parts were really unique.
Yes.
Right.
Every year they change them. Yep.
The paint scheme.
Yeah.
Now that's obviously something. I mean, this would not have been. Was it an original color?
No, this is
Okay, I didn't think so.
None of the colors are original. Close. They had two different greens back then.
Right. It would have been two-toned.
Yeah, but I wanted this to be, a little bit different. They did not have two-tones back in 59 for the convertibles. They did not have two-tone.
Okay.
So this is, but a lot of people are doing it because it's a nice look.
It looks great. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, so it's really original, but customized.
All right,
Subtly customized.
Who did the paint job for you?
Vecchio's up in Rogers did the paint.
Okay.
And they had their pinstriper.
Yeah, that
come in and
pinstriping
do
is amazing. That is really good.
Yeah.
But the colors and the idea to do pinstriping, that's all your idea.
Yeah.
Okay, let's walk up front here. Take a look at this beautiful motor here. So tell us what we got. I almost need sunglasses just to look at it.
So it's just 327.
Was
327 with
this
chrome
in
everything.
here when you bought it?
Yeah, the motor was in here, and then we dressed it all up at Vecchio's.
You
We
did
did the
okay.
chrome inner fender wells, chrome plated everything, did the custom radiator hose,
Man,
a lot of custom work to it.
that is just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the mirrors in the hood.
Yeah, it just reflects everything.
That's really nice. Now I even noticed little details like, a lot of the interior, the engine bay has been painted.
Yeah,
Not
chrome
quite
plated
to the same quality of the outside, but it's been clear coat. I mean, you've got some. You want to show it off.
We might pull the motor out later and do something different and kind of clean things up a little more, but.
That's really good, though. I mean, you can tell that that it was.
Yeah.
It's sitting in a nice cradle. That's for sure.
And the wheels on it, they're Dayton wire wheels.
Okay.
So out of Dayton, Ohio. So they do. They're kind of synonymous in the lowrider, and they do Ferrari wheels. They restore spoke wheels. That's their main thing. And I color match the spokes to the paint, and it's very subtle. It's hard to see. Like when you're driving,
you don't see
because they're normally stainless. They're more normally polished stainless. So, and those tires are called 520s.
Okay.
They're bias ply, so they're not great going down the road, but they just look the best for the lowrider. They're 13-inch.
Man,
tiny little wheels.
Yeah, they are,
but they fit.
Now, up in the front, I love the space and airplane things that these eras
rocket
had.
ship era.
Yeah, absolutely love it. The whole front end.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. Then the question that I have is, what got you into doing a lowrider?
Oh, ever since I was a kid. Since I was a kid, a young kid. I'm 45 now. Ever since I was maybe 14, 15 years old. I mean, everybody used to see the Ferraris, the Lamborghini Countachs, the Corvettes. I owned Corvettes. I owned all the muscle cars, and just the lowriders always just got to my heart. Every time I saw one, I fell in love, and I just, it was just, you go for what is in your heart. And
exactly.
The Impalas, the 59. The first time I saw a 59, it was the one out of all of them, and I just, Yeah,
It makes a great lowrider.
Yeah, that was it.
It was done deal.
Yeah, it was it. It was it. Yeah.
So
I mean, it just looked like a spaceship. I was like, is it gonna take off, or what's it gonna do? You know?
So what got you into cars in the first place?
Just the love of them. I mean, I didn't like. My mom and dad, they weren't really into cars. I mean, I didn't really have any family that was into them. It was just something that was in my heart. I saw, and I just fell in love with it. And I own several, and probably have 3 59s and a 58, and I'm looking for more. And
If you were to give a piece of advice to someone who's starting to collect cars, what would you tell them?
I would tell them just, work hard at whatever you do, save up and just look for, be careful out there, but look for, original parts, and, you can't go wrong with original parts.
Right.
And, a lot of the online, you gotta kind of know people and be careful, but these places like this, events like this, you run into a lot of people, talk to a lot of people, you get to
make your connections.
Yeah, make your connections, and, person to person is always the best. And
you obviously are an artist.
Yeah,
I mean, whether you are in real life or your job,
I do tile work. So I own a tile company. I do all the work myself. I do high end, and it's all art. Everything I do is art, and this is the same type of thing. Like I love art. I love art.
You can tell,
a piece of art.
and that's why I asked you earlier if it was your design, because I'm guessing the minute you saw the car, or even before you saw, you had a vision.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
and you knew what it was going to look like. Nick, what is one of your favorite memories with this car?
My favorite memories are just pulling up and seeing people really happy to see it. You get people from young kids all the way up to people in their 80s and 90s that might have been in one of these or seen these as a kid in high school, and they see it and they just glow. I've had people follow me and they just want to see it, take pictures, because they just want that memory. Just like me when I was a kid. Just like me when I was a kid when I first saw the 59, like it never ever left my mind. It never left my mind.
What a work of art,
I
Nick.
appreciate it,
That is just amazing. Thank you for bringing this and for putting it together for the rest of us to enjoy.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
No problem. We appreciate you taking your time to tell us about it. Thanks for watching.